If you're listening to this story and your dog or your cat or your pet is next to you, go to another room. Go to another room. Do it. Just do it. Now, don't say I didn't warn you if shit gets weird and maybe your dog starts talking to you. Anyway, if your pet is still here, hi, how you doing? This guy says that he has only shared this story with a couple of people because when he has shared it, people think that he's lying, it's made up, or that maybe he just imagined things. The reason why he's also very comfortable sharing the story is because he has started hearing other stories from people who have experienced similar things, so get ready for this. This guy says that he got home from work very tired. However, his dog Zeus was super excited to see him and started jumping up and down, which was kind of Zeus's sign saying, hey, take me out for a walk. He admits that he didn't have the energy to take him out, but he did because he cared about his dog's health and he took him to a dog park. He says that Zeus is very well behaved, so he doesn't have a problem getting him off the leash and letting him run around. He has never attacked a kid or a person, nothing of that sort, so that's why he's very comfortable letting him loose. Now he's like, please don't judge me. I know I shouldn't let him off the leash, but I promise I'm responsible. I bring doggy bags. Zeus listens when I tell him to come. He has never been aggressive, so, again, he trusts Zeus. So while Zeus was playing and running, he went to go sit at a bench, and he said that he notices that every time Zeus would run, he would look back, find him, and be like, okay, he's still here. Goes back to play, he would stop, make sure that he was still sitting at that bench just waiting for him. It was in that moment when a little kid came up to him when he was sitting at the bench. He noticed that the little boy was looking at Zeus and he was smiling, just seeing Zeus jump up and down and run. He says that the little boy turned to look at him and asked him if that was his dog. He turns to look at the kid and he's like, yeah, that's my pet, his name is Zeus. And that's when the little kid says something that shocked him. The little kid said, you know that your dog talks, right? He says that the little kid was so tiny, he didn't want to crush his imagination, so he just nodded yes. Like, yep, I know that Zeus can talk because, what are you going to tell a little kid? No, he doesn't talk. That's when the little kid turned around, almost like to walk away, still with a smile on his face, and he says, my dog told me that your dog was just like him. At this point, he was like confused, but also very curious. And he tells the little boy, well, how could you know any of this? And the little kid simply just said, well, why don't you ask Zeus? Cool. If he's the type of dog that talks, then he's gonna give you a response. The kid then says, because not all dogs can talk, they're not all like that. The kid turned around and left. He turned back to look at Zeus and he could tell that Zeus was watching him. Almost like if Zeus knew that they were talking about him. And then when Zeus noticed that he was looking at him, he just kept walking and running like if nothing happened. Oh my god. When they returned home, he said that what that little boy said just stayed in his head. And he was playing around. Obviously, it was a little kid. He's not going to believe that. So in a joking manner, he turns to Zeus and says, can you talk? Immediately, Zeus's attitude, mannerisms changed. He says that Zeus stared into his eyes for like a minute, and then he just turned around. He went walking towards his doggy bed and he just laid on it. Okay, that's cool, that's fine. Oh my god, I was scared. He was like, what the fuck just happened? Because he says that Zeus is not this serious of a dog. He's always hyper, he's always jumping. The way that he looked at him, turned around, went to his dog bed and just stayed there, threw him off. However, he was like, okay, whatever, that was weird, but maybe it's just what that kid told me that's making me feel even more weirder. So he simply went to bed and he went to sleep. So again, he ends up falling asleep and he says that he was deep into his sleep when he got awoken by a sound of something falling in the kitchen. He immediately gets up and with precaution walks towards the kitchen. He turned to see if Zeus was in his doggy bed and he wasn't there, so he didn't know where Zeus was. He thought to himself that maybe Zeus also got woken up and he went to the kitchen to see what was that sound. When he gets to the kitchen, he notices that everything's in its place. There's nothing on the floor. What made that sound? He has no idea. However, the strange thing was that Zeus wasn't in the kitchen either. So he called out for Zeus, and very calmly, Zeus comes out of this empty bedroom that he has. He says that Zeus looks at him, didn't even get close to him, and just went to lay down on his doggy bed. Almost like if he was someone that Zeus didn't know or that maybe he didn't even care about. Anyway, following day, he goes to work, he gets home, opens the door, and Zeus is not there greeting him like every other day, where he's jumping up and down excited, wanting him to take him to the dog park. Zeus was nowhere to be found. So obviously he was in shock and he calls out to Zeus because at this point he's like, what if he's sick or what if something's going on? So again, Zeus comes out of that empty bedroom, looks at him, and at this point he's trying to get Zeus excited. He gets his leash and he's like, look, you want to go to the dog park? And Zeus looks at him, doesn't get close to him again, and goes and lays down on his doggy bed. To him, he says it was evident that something was happening to Zeus, so he calls a friend who was a veterinarian and he tells them, look, these are the symptoms, he's not coming, he's not excited, and his friend thought that maybe it was because of the age. He didn't believe that it was that because Zeus's energy switched just overnight. However, he really loves Zeus and wanted Zeus to be healthy, so he did make an appointment to see the veterinarian the following day. That day they didn't go to the dog park, but he did go to sleep just worried about Zeus and hoping that it was nothing serious and that he was going to be fine. As he's laying there thinking about Zeus, he says that he could hear that someone opened the front door, and after that door was opened, it sounded like somebody was walking. He got really scared because he can clearly hear footsteps, inside of his house, and he hadn't fallen asleep yet, so he knew that it was very real. He wasn't dreaming or anything like that. He said that he had a sword next to his bed, so he just grabbed that sword and quietly came out of his bedroom. The house was dark, but that he could still see that the front door was indeed opened. However, there was nobody in his house and not even the trace of Zeus. He honestly couldn't believe it, but he was like, what if Zeus opened the door and escaped? But he thought that didn't make any sense because the door was locked, you physically had to unlock it. As he's walking out of the hallway, he then starts to hear footsteps behind him. He said that he was in shock, but when he turned around to try to look, he saw a shadow of somebody just run past him and outside that front door. He screamed for Zeus to help him because he was scared and he didn't know what to do. That thing passed so fast, not even the sword could help him. Zeus never came. He never came. He wasn't in that empty bedroom. He wasn't laying on his dog bed. Zeus never came out. So he immediately closes the front door and locks it up. After locking it, he stepped away from the door, and that is when he started hearing something trying to open that door back up. He said that he noticed when they couldn't open it back up, so then they started kicking the door. That is when he screams what do you want? Who are you? What do you want from me? If you don't leave, I'm calling the police. And the thing that he heard back was somebody laughing, almost laughing at him. And that is when he heard a voice telling him,
Alfredo, you wanted to know if I could talk. The answer is yes. And not just that, I can do so many other things.
And then it banged on the door and he heard when the steps were walking away from his house with a very terrifying laughter. Everything stayed calm. However, he was shaking with fear and he stayed up the entire night until morning time, and that's when he finally got the courage to open that front door. The door was full of scratch marks. Ever since that day, Zeus disappeared and he has never seen him again. However, when he goes to sleep in his bedroom, he swears that he can hear Zeus inside of the house. When he comes out, there's nothing there. Even when he gets home from work, he swears he can hear Zeus's steps, almost like when he would get excited and run to the door, but nothing is there. He doesn't know if maybe it's just his memories or if Zeus really is coming to visit him from time to time. But what do you guys think?